Okay.
The means by which we write curriculum is still a dynamic approach. We go through the same checks and balances as we've had. Teams are meeting when they can meet. The issue isn't the process, it's when they can meet. For instance, math in middle school met yesterday and went through their checks and balances, going through their templates and so forth, using the equip rubric as a quality control, which has been the basis for the templates from the outset, and is something that is going to be used through Smarter Balance and through the network utilized by the state and how to assess curricular function. You have in front of you the equip rubric for lessons and units on math and one on literacy. Again, templates have been devised from the very outset with this structure in mind, and it is the one that's been adopted by the state to utilize as its quality control. So it's a continuous process. It's a continuous, like I said, a static plan which keeps developing there, unit by unit, structure by structure, resource by resource.
How frequently are teachers meeting?
At the middle school, it's built into their schedules. They certainly they're not meeting every day. They're meeting once a week for curriculum writing in itself, based on the PD calendar, once a month. The high school teachers meet less frequently than that.
Elementary.
Elementary, it's built in terms of they meet at times prior to school starting, and again, based on the PD calendar.
You've got the existing math curriculum right here, the K-12 with all of the courses that are listed in it. So in using this rubric, are they going in and saying, looking at the curriculum for grade 1 up there?
Well,
then when you get to the high school, like course name?
No, obviously they're, it's about getting their horizontal, for lack of a better term, horizontal house in order.
Right.
Before one starts vertical articulation.
Right.
So they're in the horizontal getting house in order phase, meaning that
by grade level.
By grade level.
Okay.
Yep. Certainly at the elementary.
Right.
And really when it comes down to middle school, because there's one teacher essentially per grade level.
Right.
So horizontal house in order has to coincide with the vertical articulation. The first thing is first, getting the literacy built associated with the curricular process. That takes a long time. It's a continuous function of the ABCs. First you organize your function, make sure your structures are in order, build your literacy associated with it. You create overviews, both broad in context through vertical scope, but then finite, and then back again through vertical. And then you dig through data to associate what your practices are, and then examine instruction and formulate a plan.
Just real quick, the English literacy one gives specific grades. Does this math one have specific grades?
Nope, that's K through.
Thank you.
How many, as an example, like let's say math, 4th grade, how many units are there?
Units in total right now?
Yeah, like any
depends on the
year.
grade, Tracy.
Yeah.
When push comes to shove, it depends. Like math is a different animal because the semblance of units is always grounded in performance assessment, a piece associated to the knowledge of what the scaffold represents for a unit. But math, you're going to have dipsticks, essentially, checks and balances, kind of these common formative pieces established throughout the process, and then have more summative performance pieces extend beyond just one unit.
So is it harder to use math than
Yeah, I mean,
so,
look.
right, so for English.
You'd say you could have 8 per year, or 9. Depends on the grade level. It gets different as you go through the grade levels of the learning continuum.
Okay, so let's say 8, just because it's nice and rounded. But so 8. So they're going to take this, and for each unit, they're going to go through.
Yeah.
So they've got to do this 8 times for their unit.
Continuously, and then, and more importantly, assess that in some context as the units are being taught.
Right. Right,
You know, there's a
right,
continuous
reassess,
process,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But I'm just curious, like, you know, it says a unit, and then this is based, each analysis is based on a unit, a little block of whatever they're doing, so.
Now, to keep in mind, this is an onion. So, you know, when push comes to shove, there's this process, you know, I think there's this kind of fallacy or people misconstrue the context of curricular design. It's an intricate process.
Right.
I mean, you look at even the notion of, at the ELA, in the second column, looking down, a unit or longer lesson should increase in text complexity. Well, text complexity is an intricate, you know, function.
Yeah.
It's predicated on both qualitative and quantitative function. And that's an onion. That takes a while. It's going to take people
Right.
to get used to that context. And frankly, when push comes to shove, we haven't even started the discussion about text complexity.
I can tell you, Mrs. Daly said that Common Core Math in fourth grade for my son Avery has been 4 units. And they're on their 4th unit currently now, starting in the middle of May, and March going into May.
Thank you.
So there's 4.
Now, yeah, and that's kind of, they're taking units and almost
Common
expanding.
Core
And,
strands.
If I can,
And then they're gonna build by there.
yep,
if I can, this is our existing K-12 math curriculum.
yep.
This is what any teacher teaching mathematics is going to go to.
In theory, yeah.
Well, they should be going,
Yeah.
because this is their guide.
Yeah.
It should be their guide. Now, can I assume then that they're taking this, given their grade, looking at what we've got, looking at a template, and starting to see where the gaps are?
There's always a continuous audit that takes place between when you build curriculums.
Okay. The question I have is, given the time you've discussed that people are putting into this, and given the fact that this committee has asked that by next April, we get a K-12 math and English language arts curriculum, so we can get it ready to go for September of that year. Is that possible in the time frame described, based on your professional experience?
I'd say at the middle school, there's a chance with limited vertical articulation across schools.
Okay.
I'd say at the high school, I'd say I temper that one for the high school.
And then over here, we have the present English curriculum. Again, K-12. This is what teachers are using. This is the guide that they're using, and I'm assuming that when they go to the template, they're doing the same thing. Again, given your knowledge of where we are in this process, what are the chances that by next April, which is the date we've set, we're going to see a K-12 English curriculum ready to go to the board so that it can be implemented in September?
I'd give the same answer, you know, ultimately.
So we may be whistling in the wind.
We need, it's about, you know, teams can't function when one's a team.
I do remember the old line, you know? 9 guys that play together.
So,
Okay. Scott, yes,
if
please.
we, and I know we keep asking about math and English language arts, but I got to imagine we got to have a history curriculum done at the same time, and you know, the gym and my kids call it specials.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 months ago when we met, we asked or started to talk about asking where on a scale of 1, from 0 to not having any curriculum written to having 100% of the curriculum written per each subject matter. Is that something that we can get? Because what, you know, this stuff here is, that's what, you know, this is above my pay grade here. But what's not above my pay grade is ensuring that our school is up to date and moving in the right direction as far as curriculum writing for all subjects, not just math and English language arts, for history and everything that comes along with it. Is that something that we can get?
Well, I gave you the audit, and the audit was done by individual departments and grade levels. And the predominant response back from each grade level was that, and continuity team was rated a 1, that it needed significant work. Now, significant can be translated in myriad contexts.
Sure.
But when push comes to shove, there's a profound difference between the written curriculum and the taught curriculum, and of course, the assessed curriculum. We have curriculum in this district. It exists here. For example, the language arts curriculum here was first implemented in 2002 and then revised in 2005. Now, I can't, with any semblance of efficacy or you know, first-hand experience, tell you how many people even know that this exists, beyond it being in a binder.
All right,
So-
well, with all due respect, why not?
Because it's been neglected for so long in terms of curriculum. It's what happens is that it becomes this disparate function between and within grade levels. And so when push comes to shove, there's no cyclical process from which it functions. So, you know, I can tell you that this exists in written form. How it's exactly, what is exactly taught and when it's taught is predominantly the function of individuals in classrooms. And that's why we're at where we are right now. Because if there's no cyclical process associated with the curriculum management cycle, then it becomes fragmented. And
So you can take sides. You can blame the teachers, or you can blame the administration.
well,
That's
look,
basically what we got down to.
I'm not blaming anybody.
Well-
I'm just saying that it is what it is.
But one can blame one or the other, basically, right? Either the teachers are saying they don't have time, or the administration is going to say the teachers don't have time. The teachers are going to say the administrators haven't provided what they need to provide. That's basically where we're at,
I don't think so.
which we have to get past.
I don't think
I don't-
so,
And we got to get the
because
curriculum right.
I
I dug it up, and I know Bill has it, but this is from a budget from 2006-07. And there was a map. There was a whole thing that was supposed to happen, and, you know,
Right, and for one-
superintendents changed,
right, for one reason or
whatever,
another, it didn't
it's
happen.
not there, so.
But everybody's pointing fingers at one another, where we just gotta, what I want to know is,
I don't want to be construed as pointing fingers. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that it is what it is.
well, somebody has failed the process if we're at,
The process in
So
general.
does it
is
matter
failed.
why? Like, now let's just pick up and move on.
right, but
Yeah.
we haven't gotten to the point where we see any progress going forward. And
Well, there's progress, certainly. It's just inching along.
All right, quick question. I'm looking at these equipped documents. They talk about achieve Massachusetts, New York, whatever. Are we borrowing this, or is there a Connecticut
It's a
version?
tri-state kind of function. It's a derivative of the consortium, which is part of Achieve.org and the group that the state's bringing in to be able to use as a quality control measure.
So, but
It was originally derived, the organization that the state has brought in to kind of lead
is this
professional
achieve
development.
first? Is that the
Yeah,
same group, or is it different?
it's different, but they're derivative to that. So it's a Massachusetts company that was brought in, and those are the ones that are leading the professional learning components associated with this Common Core library and so forth.
And I may be out of the loop, I just wanted to follow up. So SDE pushed back the SBAC testing
No.
a week?
The
The week.
testing a week,
They
yeah.
pushed it back a week,
Yeah.
we already held them, or?
We held one today.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
If I can, Mr. Conroy, I think what I'm looking at is this committee, and I would agree with you, but this committee at its last meeting took the initiative to say that we are going to start to direct some things. We directed that in 13 months, there would be a completed K-12 English language arts, math curriculum revision completed.
Yeah.
My expectation is that we would, when we get the next step, which is the steps after that, in the following year, I would expect to go to your thing, that the other three major subjects we consider.
But
Science.
I don't think that time frame works for the accreditation process that's coming up in 2 years, correct or incorrect?
You are probably correct.
We'll be in a tough spot.
So they all have to be finished by the time that comes up.
And realistically, that's
Yes
not
or no?
going to, no.
Not necessarily, but there certainly should be progress associated with it.
So we can't just concentrate on two things and then at the end of April say, okay, now that we've finished math and English language arts, let's turn our focus to history.
Wait, just to clarify, you're talking about NEOS on
Yes.
one hand,
Yes.
and then implementing Common Core on the other, which are two separate They're,
No.
they're separate, they're related, but they're separate goals that we have to achieve.
Well, implemented Common Core is, it's Connecticut Core, Connecticut Core standards are implemented as part of all unit development. They're part of the unit development process. They're just standard level of expectations. NEASC is an accreditation process which the high schools go through as part of being part of that system.
So I'm just trying to gauge if there's an urgency in one direction or the other. So if we are kind of putting all burners to try to meet the NEASC goal, that's gonna by default also clear us for implementing
There's a
what we're supposed
concurrent
to.
urgency.
Yeah.
You follow the plan, you follow a curriculum management cycle in the way that it's been developed, then NEASC won't be a problem, nor will meeting the goals outlined for the curricular goals based on dates.
If this committee